Hi, horse friends. In today's episode, I am going to interview Beck here. I thought it'd be fun for you guys to get to know her a little better and learn about herself being a young trainer and how she's become so successful, some things she's done, some things she thought maybe she could have done better. So let's get started from the start. So how did you get into horses?
Like probably every single one of us, it was always just something there, and the posters on the wall, all the books, all the toys.
Yeah.
So horses were a big thing that I wanted to do. Growing up though, for a brief moment, similarly to you, I actually wanted to be a vet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a large animal vet. And then everything, and I kind of bounced around a lot growing up on like what I wanted to do and different stuff as far as like career, different things going on. So there was vet, there was archaeology, paleontology, and then things, dog training as well. At one point I wanted to do like canine handling for military dogs. Yeah. And then
so there's an underlying theme of animals.
Okay. Animals or history books, historian. There's a lot, and it kind of just bounced around. But horses were a main thing. Like I was like, I want to be involved in horses in somehow, maybe not necessarily a career or anything, but I had neighbors that let me go over and like ride the horses with them. And actually, one of my neighbors, when I was 12 years old, gave me one of their horses.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I had him, and and so I was like, I think I was 12, maybe I was 13, but I had him for a while, and I did all the work, and he was actually a rescue case that they found with their church and everything. I don't remember how they came across him, but her church was involved. They were writing or something, but they came across him. He's like this 10 by 10 pen of barbed wire and like nothing in it. And where I grew up and everything, it's all just like sagebrush desert. There's not even, out here in Gardnerville and where we are, there's, pasture grasses and different things like that. Mm-hmm. And he was probably a good like 250 pounds underweight or so, maybe more. The vets, when they checked him out and different stuff, they didn't think that he was going to survive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a lot of work and everything, but he had worn down, like his teeth were all wonky and everything else, so he had to be on soup.
Yeah, we have a few of those here.
Yeah, and this was back before anybody really did a whole lot of cubes in the area there, so it was always the pellets. Yeah, it was soaked and everything, so it was a mixture of the grass pellets and senior feed. Mm-hmm. He was in his later teens, estimated. I didn't really know, but he was a good horse. He did whatever you asked. He was a good old boy. He would have been like one of the school horses. Yes, that type. So, but getting into training and everything, I was working with him and a little bit of my neighbor. She wasn't a trainer per se, but she looked up videos and read stuff. So I just kind of played around with things, and it was actually through her that I got my very first introduction to Clayton Anderson before he was really big. Yeah. And he was working with Weaver Leather, because it was like this little DVD thing, and it was like this short thing. This is talking about
probably before the internet was super big, or even the internet.
Yeah. And he wasn't huge or anything. He was just talking about some stuff, and I cannot remember the contents of the video. It was short. It was just something simple. It was something with one of their products too, But I remember that because I remember like 10 years later or something, Clayton Anderson's huge, and now is huge too, and everything. And I'm like, I think that's the same dude. Yeah. But I actually started going around in my small town. I grew up in Silver Springs, like a little bit of nothingness. Mm-hmm. Just kind of putting things out there, like friggin' posts on Craigslist, and literally like printing out little posts and things of like, I'll come work your horses or whatever. And I read, books by Monty Robert and a handful of other stuff. Looked online when I could. We still had dial-up back then. So not that high-speed internet wasn't a thing then. We just didn't have it yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I just got into it, and then I was going to school, and I was still doing like little bits around as I could for people, different stuff, and like trying to figure it out. And then in my sophomore year, I actually moved to Oklahoma, and I was working student at a jumper barn there, which is really cool. And did a little bit of jumping there, and they were kind of all around, predominantly jumping, but it was a little bit all around. So I did some Western as well, and then some of that, learned a lot. She did a lot of off-the-track Thoroughbreds, which got me that love of Thoroughbreds. And then Mustangs were always a huge part of what I liked because they were literally in my backyard a lot.
And Becca does own a off-the-track Thoroughbred by the name of River, who had a baby as well. Yeah.
And so, like, Mustangs were always, like, in my backyard. I could go walk out. Literally, they would just go into our yard a lot.
Yeah. So is that where your love of Mustangs came in? Growing up, seeing them?
Yeah, I've seen them there. And I remember, like, being, like, early teens into mid-teens and everything, like, reading about the Extreme Mustang Makeover and different stuff like that, and wanting to do that, which I have since done. But yeah, I got Mustangs were part of that, so they've always had a place in my heart, and they still do, you know. But
she's doing amazing things with her horse Legacy. Maybe you can tell them a little bit about Legacy right now.
Legacy. So Legacy, I've had almost 5 years now. This year will be 5 years. I got her as a 2-year-old from holding, so part of a tip challenge program back when the Mustang Heritage Foundation and the Bureau of Land Management were working together. They put out different programs. You had TIP, which was trainer incentive programs. So that was when you just pull from holding. You do basics of like haltering, leading, tying, picking up feet, loading onto a trailer. There might be a couple of things that I might be missing a little bit, but it was all just like taming and very basic handling and finding an adopter. And then the BLM or Mustang Heritage Foundation would pay you per horse that you did that with and burro. And then they had tip challenges, which were an in-hand version of the Extreme Mustang Makeover. You had 100 days to take this horse from the wild and do the taming stuff and beyond. So like the bare minimum was having like the tip requirements, and then you would go beyond that with like obstacles, trotting in hand, freestyles. We do a lot of costumes and different stuff, and like just promoting these guys. And the tip challenge part of it was hosted by an approved tip trainer, and there were certain requirements that you had to meet to be able to start hosting these challenges. And it was funded by Mustang Heritage Foundation. So they did a lot. They fund it and the awards and different stuff, and then we'd get they would go for people to sponsor as well. But so I did a handful of those, and I did an Extreme Mustang Makeover. So there's a little bit more of a difference between the tip challenges and the Extreme Mustang Makeovers, but the main difference is that the Extreme Mustang Makeover for adults includes riding within those 100 days. So but it was a lot of fun, and it was really cool. But Legacy, it was in one of the tip challenges, and the majority of the time I had the Mustangs and everything, it was always to find them home. So it was always a way to get them handleable, doing something, and marketable, and something that people could handle, they could do something with, and I did. And Legacy was supposed to be one of those, but I had wanted to keep her for a little bit longer to start her under saddle, because all the previous ones except for Lyra were always sold after the challenges and not started, except for Cleopatra, who was the Extreme Mustang Makeover one. But Legacy, I wanted to do a little bit. I wanted to get more into that English and the dressage side, because she had the look for it and she had the movement for it, and she does. And then as time went on, I was like, I'm keeping you. Which is fine. So yeah, and we're working, in that dressage and stuff, and I've done a handful of other things with her. We've done a little bit of Western, and then we've done trails and obstacles, and she's funny. And I've even taken her fox hunting a handful of times, and she loves it. She's a little bit of a well, she's very competitive, actually. A little bit. So for those of you who don't know, with fox hunting and everything, you have your fields, you have your field masters and different stuff. But without getting too much into it and getting too much into the detour of all the information, the fox hunters, you can't go past your field masters. That you're not supposed to, and everything else. Our group and everything, they're chill and all, but you stay behind them and everything. And Legacy's like no, I want to beat that horse. I want to get in front of it. And let me tell you, she's 15 one hand, you know. She's not super small, but she's not tall and everything. And the majority of these fox hunter horses are thoroughbreds or thoroughbred crosses or just taller horses in general that are quick and everything else. So she's like keeping up or trying to pass these like 16 plus hand, you know, and she's like, no, I'm faster than you. Which, I mean, it goes into like in her DNA profile and everything that I did with her, you know, her influence does include thoroughbred. Yeah. So thoroughbred, Andalusian, quarter horse.
So if you had something different that you would have done in the beginning, what would that have been for you in your learning journey and becoming a trainer?
So I think I would have stayed amateur a little bit longer, and like one of the things is like, so I dabbled around a lot in just general training and everything, and like I really did like it. And like I said, in the small town, I put posts up, I did whatever, it was cheap and everything else. And then I started working here at some point. I was working student in a couple other places, and I would have loved to do more. One of them just kind of ghosted me and like, hello. Where are you? Do you want me there? And then I just moved on after a bit because, you know, it's like, okay. I think the biggest thing would be like really trying to find that confidence in myself to explore more too. And like I said, staying amateur longer and learning more and going to different places. I actually, just before you hired me on, I had an offer from a facility in Germany to go work with. Unfortunately, due to some personal circumstances and some things, I was unable to get documentation and visa stuff that I needed to be able to do that. And I do wish I would have fought a lot harder for it. I can't say whether or not it would have worked out still. Right. But
hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I just would have kept in that because, you know, I was talking to a friend and a client of mine actually recently about it and everything else about like, because I had introduced myself to some people at one point, and I was talking about how I went from working as an employee for you to being my own business and training and all. And like, I was like, I just like ran straight off the cliff into the deep end of the water without any flotation. And I'm just like,
well, and you know, it's so interesting. I'm glad we bring this up because I think this would be a good other topic for us, is that that kind of happened to me too, because when you're teaching beginner lessons, you get put in the professional group, and you know, when you're competing, and I feel that there should be a disconnect, so there should be something different.
Interestingly, they actually, I remember reading something that they're coming out about with that, where it's there's a little bit of a, I think it's a timing thing and a pay thing, like within a certain amount or whatever, where you can keep your amateur status. But yeah.
So let us know if you want to see a video on that, because I think that would be really, really interesting. Yeah. So what do you view your expertise as now, and where do you want to go? And
yeah. So I think particularly right now, my expertise is in the Mustangs. I'm really connecting with them. You know, I can really get Mustangs and any feral horse, really. Feral, unhandled horse, because it's all really within the same vein of the training and everything else, as well as like starting horses. Yeah. Starting green horses, young horses, or even ones that are a little bit older at all. I have really enjoyed doing that. And what I really like now too is like developing myself even more to get better, so I can go from starting and go even more beyond that. And right now I'm focusing more on dressage. Yeah. Because it is what I like. And I remember as a kid when I would get brief glimpses of like dressage at the Olympics and different things, I just like,
it's so pretty.
I would just like be enthralled, and then somebody would be like, "This is boring," and change the channel. I'm like, I hate you. So yeah, and being my own business has been really interesting, and like I did it as just, this is something that I wanted to do, but also I want to say like coming into it and everything, there was a small bit of spite for starting my own business, because I didn't really have that support. I was told it was silly. It was like not just being the own business per se, because that in of itself, no, but it was like the contents, the horses, the style, everything. It's just froofy and silly and all these things. And I'm like, well, I'll show you. Might not have been the best intention, but but it's also, again, horses were something that was gonna be, but yeah. So I still have interest in dabbling in some of the other disciplines and stuff. I do eventually want to do a little bit more jumping. I always talk to people about it, that like when it comes to jumping on a weenie, and I know it. I'm like, get me a 2.6, okay, or below, and I'm like, cool, pop over that. You start at 3 feet and do anything more than that. I'm like, good. And I don't have to do more than that, which is fun because it's not my area really, but getting a little bit better, like my 2-point, or just the understanding of it and everything, and just building my own knowledge so that I can support my own students and teach them more and teach them better. But also with dressage, I want to do some more showing. I want to showcase Legacy. I want to showcase Echo when she's ready,
So talk a little bit about your breeding side of things too.
Yeah. So breeding is something that has always been an interest in me too. It's like, I remember even before I really started looking for places to work, before I started working here, was doing breeding. And that's something too that I was thinking about, like, if I could go back, is like, okay, stay amateur, go around different places, but also breeding farms and learn more of that breeding aspect. And I still want to do some of that. And like one of the things I'm looking at eventually is doing a schooling for stallion management and handling, collection, analyzing the semen, and all the stuff that has to do with collecting and breeding stallions, and then breeding mares and ultrasounds and different stuff. So I want to do that because breeding and sport horse breeding for dressage. So I don't have specific breed that I necessarily want to do, but more of just all around sport horse type. Breed more for dressage. And for me, I would breed more for like amateur friendly horses, right? But quality and everything would still be on there.
So if you were to give some advice for a young trainer coming into this business, how would you tell them to set up your business? What would you tell them to look for in clients and horses and all of that stuff?
Yeah. I would say, like, keep your options open and dabble around in different things, right? I dabbled a little bit. I didn't do a huge amount, but still dabble around, try out different stuff, whether that is for training or for teaching or for like farriers, body work, different stuff, and just get a feel for everything and see what clicks for you, right? It could be that you want to be a trainer, and I know this is more for young trainers or something, but see what else you might be interested in and see the styles. Find don't pigeonhole yourself in one training technique or big name trainer like Clint Anderson, Monty Roberts, Pirelli, all of those, right? Don't pigeonhole yourself with just one of those. Look at them all and see what works and doesn't work with them, and apply things and develop your own style within that too. I think a lot of it, if we get stuck in just doing what we know the most, we can lose out on a lot of things, and we can lose out on what we are really ourselves and what our best is. Right?
Continue to grow.
Yeah. And I didn't start training Mustangs right away. I did a lot of different other horses. I started training Mustangs when I was here. And it was kind of on a whim because it was with a tip challenge. And it was Lyra, who is 10 years old, had just been round up 4 months prior. So she was wild. And she was a challenge for sure. And it really helped me develop and kind of jump into more of that. But I had to try all kinds of different things, and don't be afraid to ask for help from anyone that you can get it from that you respect. If you don't respect them, you're probably not going to listen to them. So make sure it's something that you respect and you like their style. And if you don't end up liking it, you don't end up liking their techniques or different things, then you can be like, okay, I'm not going to do that, and change your ways, right? Because I had to ask for help on a couple of occasions with Lyra and try different things because I didn't have enough of the knowledge or the tools that I have now to work in some of the things that I was struggling with her for. And so I had a couple of people come out, a few different ones come out, show me different stuff, different ways. And a lot of times too, it was just tweaking what I was already doing, right? And you just adjust, but be open to different things. One of the things is that unfortunately I'm super busy that I can't necessarily do. I say
that's the problem,
like,
right? Yeah.
Like fortunately, but unfortunately, because my baby horse, he's going on to, she's at a different facility right now where there's other babies that she can live with and grow up and be a horse with and everything else. So I go and see her every once in a while and do different things. But when I had dropped her off, I was offered to ride the horses and learn cutting. It's at a cutting facility, so it's Western and everything. And I'm like, absolutely, yes. When? We'll see. You know? But like, I have sat on cutters. I didn't really do much, but I felt a little bit. I have sat and ridden a few reiners, played around with it, you know, and just little spins and little sliding stops. Nothing major within the realm of that, but it is fun, and you want to find the fun and the joy in what you're doing, because if you don't, then you're not going to do well. No. Whether you stay in it or not, or you're not going to stay in it, you know, but you're not going to do well, and it's going to show up in what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Beck, for your thoughts, and we'll continue to do more of these, and let us know what you think. Thank you.